G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be comparing the Square Golf launch monitor to the GC3 in a head-to-head test. Now, I have done an individual video where I showed off the Square Golf launch monitor using the Taylormade PIX golf balls. Today, I'm going to be testing it against arguably, look, the GC3, the gold standard launch monitor for home sim use. Before I get into this test, definitely check out the channel partner if you want to get your Square Golf launch monitor or your GC3. Head over to Bayside Golf. I will link them in the description. They have been an amazing channel partner for me so far, giving me access to so many launch monitors. So definitely head over there, check them out, or even give them a call because Sam is super knowledgeable and more than willing to share some of his time to help you guys make the best decision with which launch monitor you should go for. I'm going to get straight into this test today. So today I'm going to be testing pitch shots. So those 60-yard pitch shots, pitching wedge, 7-iron, 4-irons, and then drivers. And we're going to see how the Square Golf launch monitor goes head-to-head against the GC3. What you should know about head-to-head testing is there is always a chance that we will potentially have interference for one of these two units. If we see some wild spin axis today or spin numbers, I'm going to put that down to interference because I haven't seen that when using these launch monitors individually. So without further ado, let's get started. I have aligned both of these units. In fact, the alignment stick is still down for the Square Golf launch monitor. So both of these devices are aligned. And yeah, we're just going to get straight into this testing. 67 yards as a carry. And we're slightly short, but I mean, it's a pretty good shot. So let's break that data down. So ball speeds, and with these tests, I always talk about raw ball data. That's all I care about. If the raw data is the same, being ball speed, horizontal launch angle, vertical launch angle, spin, and spin axis, if those metrics are the same, it doesn't matter what software you use, you're going to be able to take these devices and play on different softwares and have a really good experience. Calculated metrics like carry distance, they're going to be algorithm based and they're based on that raw data. So all I care about is the raw data. Let's break that down. So we had, for a ball speed, we had 60.4 from the Foresight. For the Square, we had 60.4. I mean, that is just, that's unreal. It was identical. For the launch angle, slightly left on the Foresight, slightly left on the Square. Launch angle, so vertical launch angle, 31.4 on the Square, 31.6 on the Foresight. I mean, that is insane. Spin rates, 87.51 on the Square, 86.20 on the Foresight. And I will say, again, I am using Taylormade PIX golf balls with the Square unit. So, I mean, that is incredible. Let's look at the spin axis. So, spin axis, 289 right on the Square, 282 right on the Foresight. That's insane. That is incredible. I mean, first shot of the day, but I mean, so far, that is seriously close. Okay, well, this could be an incredible test. All right, let's go again. Lovely. We had 62.1 ball speed on the Foresight, 62.2 on the Square. Launch angle was left on both of them by a degree. The vertical launch was 30.7 versus 31.1 on the Foresight. Spin rates, 87.34 on the Square versus 9,000 on the Foresight. Spin, we had a 148 right spin versus a 100 or 99 right spin. That's good enough for me. That is well within tolerances. That is incredible. Now, I know a lot of people don't like these head-to-head tests, but for me, I do get value out of them. Yes, there can be interference, but I mean, I still get some value out of these. Okay, so we've had, I mean, look at the ball speeds. 59.1, 59.1. They both came out a little bit left. They both had 31 for a launch angle. They both had 8900 for the spin. They both had a right spin axis. I mean, 392 versus 431. This is actually blowing my mind. This is crazy. Let's go again. I mean, this is... The Square Golf launch monitor costs... I mean, how many times? Like in Australia, the Foresight's 16 times more expensive. Just mad. That's a nice shot. Okay, 62.2 for ball speed on the Foresight, 62.4. Foresight had it coming out slightly right, pretty much dead straight. Again, Square had it pretty much dead straight. Vertical launch, 31 versus 31.4. Spin rates, 88.72 for the Foresight, 9,092 for the Square. And they both had a baby fade, so 193 right spin versus 130. That is well within tolerances. That is just mad. And again, I'm using the PIX ball, which is not even the official Square golf ball. Okay, I didn't hit that one great. But I mean, look at the data. 59.6 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 59.3. Both came out a little bit left. Both came out at 31.9 on the Foresight versus 31.6. Both had lower spin because I didn't hit it as good. So 8,000 versus 8,200. Foresight had 87 left spin versus the Square at 287, which is a little bit more of a draw. But I mean, the shot shape's correct. I just can't believe how accurate these are. I mean, that is just absolutely mind-blowing. That's just crazy. Okay, not a great shot there. We've had 59.9 for ball speed on the Foresight, 59.7 on the Square. It was a little thin, so I expect spin to kick up, which is exactly what's happened on both devices. Both of them came out pretty close to 0. 0.4 right on the Foresight versus 0.2 left. Vertical launch angles we've had, I mean, they're pretty much the same. 9,205 for backspin versus 9,368. 600 right spin on the Foresight versus 523 right spin on the Square. To me, right then, the Square just performed... Let me just go big screen. To me, right there, on those wedge shots, the Square just performed pretty much identically to the gold standard launch monitor, the GC3. That's mad. That is honestly mad. And that's with a PIX ball as well. Okay, let's move back to some pitching wedges. I will be taking my time through this test today. I'm not warmed up, but I think it's going to be good because what you'll see is some mishits. You'll see some good shots. And we'll see how this unit goes with the mishits as well as the good shots. Okay, 137 yards. Let's just hit a nice, smooth pitching wedge. Oh, that was bad. That was hit bad. Let's look at the data. So 97 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 99. I did think when I did my other test, the ball speeds were a bit higher with the Square on these shots. For pitching wedge and 7-iron, I thought the ball speeds were higher. Everything else seemed pretty good. Vertical launch, 25 versus 25. Spin rates, 7,680 versus 7,698. That is pretty much identical. The Square missed the spin axis. The Foresight had a baby draw. Okay, that was hit solid. Bit too much of a draw though. We've had 106 for ball speed on the Foresight, 107 for ball speed, so pretty good. We've had them both take off slightly left. Vertical launch angles are pretty much identical. Spin rates we've had, okay, that's a difference. So we've had 8,353 on the Foresight versus 7,175. So that is going to affect carry distance. And then for the side spin, we've had 593 on the Foresight versus 44. So spin and spin axis there were different. So that is something we're definitely going to keep an eye on through this test. Okay, that was a nice shot. 105.1 for ball speed on the Foresight, 105.2 on the square. The Foresight came off a little right, the square came off a little left. Again, they could be slightly misaligned. Vertical launch angle, pretty much identical. Backspin, 7,800 versus 8,000, so pretty good. Side spin, the square unit missed it, so it's gone dead straight. The Foresight showing we had a little bit of a draw, which is the shot shape I usually see with my pitching wedge. And all my clubs, really, a slight draw. Okay, 104.6 for the ball speed on the Foresight, 104.3 for ball speed on the square. Both took off pretty straight. Both had 26 degrees launch angle. We had 8,119 for backspin on the Foresight versus 8,683. The square did have a draw, but it was pretty much dead straight, where the Foresight had that 310 left spin, so a bit more curvature. So spin and spin axis are really the only metrics. I mean, we did have one that had ball speed slightly different. But yeah, spin and spin axis are really the two metrics that are differing with these shots. Okay, a bit of a lower spin one there. 104.7 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 104 on the square. Both came off slightly left. The vertical launch angle was pretty much the same. Spin rates, okay, spin rates are different. So 7,894, close to 8,000 versus 7,156 on the square. Both of them had a draw. 301 left on the Foresight versus 217 on the square. So a little bit different there for backspin numbers, which in GS Pro, if you've got something that's about 1,000 lower in spin on a wedge, or in real life as well, you're gonna see anywhere from, 2 to 4 yards carry difference. So a little bit of a difference there. All right, let's hit one more pitching wedge and then we'll go to 7. And a really nice shot there. Love that swing. A little bit to the right. So less of a draw. 103.8 for ball speed versus 104.4, so slightly higher on the square. Both of them come out slightly right. The Foresight coming out a bit more right. We've pretty much seen that the whole test. I think the Foresight's aiming slightly further right than the square. For the vertical launch angle, they're both pretty much 26. For spin rates, this is the closest we've seen backspin, so 8,499 on the Foresight versus 8,500 on the square. The square had the babiest of draws, the Foresight had the babiest of fades, so pretty much both of them going dead straight. Okay, that is the pitching wedge done, and I've got to say, I mean, the data was pretty good. We did see a few differences in spin and spin axis, which is to be expected. I will do some shot shaping at the end, so stay tuned. Okay, let's move to 7-iron now. And for everybody at home, I am changing the club on the Square app, just to let the unit know exactly what I'm hitting. Okay, little fade. The Square missed that one, so we'll go again. Okay. We had 121 for ball speed exactly on the Foresight. We've had 122.4 for ball speed on the Square. Now again, we're seeing the Foresight come off slightly further right, so the actual horizontal launch angles look pretty good. Vertical launch angles, both 19.5 versus 19.3. Backspin numbers, 5,500 call it on the Foresight versus 5,675 on the Square. The Foresight had it pretty much going dead straight. The Square had it just with the babiest of fades. I mean, it's pretty good. That shot was pretty good. Okay, we had 122.3 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 124. And this is what I was saying. The ball speed seems to be a little quicker on the pitching wedge and 7-irons. That's what I saw when I did the test yesterday, the individual test. For horizontal launch angle, we had 0.3 left on the Foresight versus 0.9 left on the Foresight. Vertical launch angles are identical. Spin rates, I mean, look at that. The spin rates were pretty much identical. There's 100 RPM in that, or less. And then the side spin, 188 on the Foresight, and it didn't pick it up on the square. So you will get shots where it's just dashed out and the golf ball will just go dead straight on the square. For a first attempt at using a PIX ball, the square, I mean, they've kind of knocked it out of the park. You've got to think they're going to improve on this as well. Oh, that was a bad swing. That was a bad swing. This will be interesting though, because you're capturing bad shots as well is important. So 116.8 for ball speed versus 116.1. They both came off slightly left. The vertical launch was pretty much the same. Spin rates, not bad. 5,000 on the Foresight versus 4,500. Spin axis, that is very different. And I don't know whether that is interference. We'll put that down to interference because we've had 278 left spin on the Foresight versus 1,000 right spin on the square. That was a lovely shot. Best one of the day. We've had 123.5 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 124.5. So, yep, we're seeing slightly higher ball speed on the square. Not much, though. It's a mile an hour. We've had pretty much dead straight for both of them horizontally. Vertically, they're pretty much identical. Backspin, we've had 6,000 on the Foresight versus 6,500 on the square. And they've both had the babiest of fades, pretty much dead straight. I mean, it's a fair bit of difference, 500 RPM. It can be a couple of yards. But look, for me, it would annoy me. But for the average user, is it going to annoy them? I mean, it's pretty close, isn't it? Oh, that was bad. That was healed. This will be interesting. So we had 112.8 ball speed. I mean, both units identical. 112.8 ball speed. For launch direction, the Foresight's saying right, the square saying left. To be honest, for a heel strike, I don't know, it could be left. For the vertical launch angle, they're pretty much identical. Spin rates, look at that. I mean, they're 5,200 on the Foresight versus almost 5,000 on the square. And then spin axis, 420 right versus 490 right on the Foresight. So, I mean, it actually read that mishit extremely well. That is impressive. That was a really nice strike. Nice little draw. So we had 122.8 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 123.4 on the square. Both came off a little bit right. Vertical launch angle was pretty much identical. Spin rates, I mean, that is pretty much identical. And so spin axis. We had 180 left versus 322 left. That is pretty impressive. For a PIX golf ball, I mean, that is pretty impressive with the square unit. Okay, let's go to 4-iron now. Oh, going to a 4-iron when you're not swinging it good and you're not fully warmed up, I mean, this could go anywhere. Flush. I absolutely melted that. I mean, that's going to be the best one of the day. Right, look at that. 138.5 ball speed on the Foresight versus 139.7, so slightly higher on the square. Launch direction, I mean, that's the same trend we've been seeing this whole day. Vertical launch, pretty much identical. Spin rates, I mean, look at that. That is crazy. 37.49 on the Foresight versus 37.18 on the square. What I'm seeing there, though, the Foresight has the babiest of draws, pretty much dead straight. The Foresight had it going 475 left. So a bit more of a draw on the square unit. And there's the duff. The chunky shot out to the right. 132.5 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 132.4. Both came off right. The Foresight definitely was correct. It did come off a bit further right. Launch angle for vertical launch angle is identical, 14.6. Backspin numbers, 34.83 on the Foresight versus 32.85 on the Square. And both had a right spin, so 343 right versus 558 right. I mean, it picked up. These bad shots are good to show because not everyone's going to hit it perfect every time. And quite often with launch monitors, they can get the good shots easily. It's the bad shots that they struggle with. So for this thing to be picking up bad shots as accurately as it is pretty impressive. A little bit out to the right, but a solid shot. 137.6 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 138.3. We've had, both have come off right. Both with vertical launch are pretty much the same. 37.89 for backspin versus 4,092. And the Foresight there with a bit bigger of a fade than the Square. Lovely. 140 for ball speed on the Foresight. Oh, 140.3 versus 141.9. So again, we're seeing slightly higher ball speed on the Square. Both came off slightly right. Vertical launch angle was pretty much identical. Spin rates, 33.45 versus 3,075. And the Foresight had a little bit more of a draw than the Square. The Square is impressing me. With the Taylormade PIX ball, the Square is impressing me, I've got to say. Not bad. We've had 138.1 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 136.7. So that's, I think, the first one that ball speed's been a bit lower with the Square. Both came off right. Vertical launch is perfect. 3,600 call it for spin on the Foresight versus 33 on the Square. And both had the babiest of fades. That is very, very impressive. I mean, that is crazy. Okay, finally, the big stick. And let's see how we go with driver. Okay, a little bit out to the right, but not too bad. We've had 160.5 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 160.8 for ball speed. Pretty good. Both had it coming off right. Both had the same vertical launch. Both had pretty much the same identical spin. And both had the same shot shape. I mean, the Square showing a bit more of a fade than the Foresight. But I mean, overall, that is pretty good. Okay, we had 162.2 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 162.8 on the Square. For horizontal launch angle, they both came off slightly right. Vertical launch angle, pretty much identical. For spin, for backspin, we had 23.75 on the Foresight versus 18.18 on the Square. And then shot shape, the Foresight had 0 side spin, so dead straight, which I don't know about that, versus the baby fade on the Square. To me, I almost think the Foresight missed the spin axis there, because I don't know if that was a dead straight shot. Potentially we'll put that down to interference. Okay, 160.7 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 161.1. Both came off, oh no, the Foresight had it coming off pretty much dead straight. The Square, a tiny bit left. Vertical launch angle, pretty much identical. Spin rates, pretty much identical. Shot shapes, pretty much identical. Seriously impressive. I mean, honestly, has the Square just completely changed the game by introducing the PIX ball? I'm leaning towards yes. We had 161.1 for ball speed on the Foresight versus 161.4 on the Square. Both came off right. Vertical launch was identical. Backspin, pretty much identical. Shot shape, pretty much identical. I mean, this is honestly, it's very, very impressive. Okay, let's go one more driver and then we'll do some big shot shapes. Okay, we've had our square misread. So that's unfortunate because I hit that quite well. I swung a bit harder at it. So we'll have to go again. Backspin numbers look pretty good though. Shot shape looks very different, but we'll disregard that one and we'll do our final shot. I don't know what happens there, whether it picks up on the tee or something. Okay, not the best shot, but 160.6 for ball speed, 161.3. Horizontal, we've had a bit more of a right start on the Foresight, but we've seen that the whole test. Vertical launch angles, identical. Backspin numbers, pretty much identical. It went pretty much dead straight on the Foresight, the babiest of draws, versus it missed the spin axis on the square. I've got to say, for driver, I mean, this thing is unreal. To implement the PIX golf balls and be this good straight off the bat, I mean, I'm seriously impressed. Okay, trusty 6-iron. Let's do some shot shaping. I'll do some big hooks and some big slices, and we'll pretty much just go wherever we feel like it. So the first one is going to be a big hook. Started left, going left. So that one there, the Foresight red, is a massive hook as expected. Ball speed's slightly different there. The square being a bit higher. Launch angle, they both started left. Backspin, there's 500 RPMs difference. Look at that spin axis though. We've had 2030 left spin versus 454. And this is what I said yesterday when I filmed my video, the individual video. I said I didn't think the square on these massive slingers was moving enough. I'll do the same thing again. We'll go massive sling, hook. Okay. So ball speed, slight difference there. Horizontal launch angle, slightly different. We've had 14 for a vertical launch. Spin rates, there's 300 in it, so pretty good. But look at that side spin. We've had 1289 on the Foresight versus 731. Let's go for a slice now. What I'll do actually is I'll get a 5-iron to slice with because I can really slice a 5-iron. 6-iron's a little bit harder to slice with, but this one, we should be able to really slice this. Okay. Right. Ball speeds look pretty good. Vertical launch, horizontal launch looks really good. Spin rates, I mean, there's what, 300 in that? And look at the spin axis. So that one, 3,393, 3,752. So that is pretty good. Let's go again for a slice. That's right going right. I mean, that is off the planet. And I've got to say, it picked up on it pretty good. Spin rates slightly higher on the Foresight, but looking at the spin axis, I mean, that is pretty much identical. Let's just do, I mean, not as big of a fade, a slice, sorry. Let's just do more of a fade. So we'll do a fade with a 5-iron. So nice fade. Oh, it wasn't in the hitting window. We'll go again. Right. Nice little fade, just like that. Oh, that was hit bad, but it captured it. 122 for ball speed on both, pretty much. Both started left. Both had the same vertical launch. Spin rates are within 200. And both had, I mean, very similar right spins. Let's go back to 6-iron. Let's hit a couple of hooks. But I mean, that 5-iron there for the fades and the slices looked pretty good. Okay, let's go hook again. We'll go big hook, trying to escape out of the trees. Okay. We've had pretty much identical for ball speeds. Launch direction was pretty much identical. Vertical launches, pretty much identical. Spin rates, there's a slight difference there, 44 versus 37. And that one there, the left spin was a lot closer. It was within 200. So that wasn't hooking enough. I want to do that mega hook. Okay, that one there, it's picked up on it. So 1173 versus 1242. Spin rates look good. Ball speeds look good. So that one was a lot better. The ones I hit earlier didn't have enough curvature. We'll go hook again. So ball speeds look pretty good. There's a mile an hour in there. Vertical launch looks pretty good. Horizontal looks good. Back spins, we've had 5,100 on the square versus 4,500 on the Foresight. And it definitely hooked more on the Foresight. So with these massive slinging shots, potentially you're not going to see the curvature that you expect. But most of them are pretty good. Let's just hit a standard draw now. The square missed that one. It's a shame because that was a nice shot. Oh, not the best strike. It's got a little bit of curvature to it. So it was a draw on the Foresight. It was a little bit of a fade, pretty much dead straight on the square. We'll go one more draw. So a bit bigger of a draw. We'll try and get it around that like 500 to 600 left spin. That's the goal. Might not be enough. Definitely not enough. There we go. Square missed it. There we go. So 500 left spin versus 343. Backspin numbers, pretty good. I mean, there's 100 RPM in it. Okay, so that was the test between the Square Golf Launch Monitor and the GC3 using the Taylormade PIX golf ball. I've got to say, for a first attempt at introducing a totally brand new ball pattern to the Square, they have done a seriously good job. I definitely think there's room for improvement. However, this thing is pretty good. I mean, it is pretty good to the point where I'd almost be happy to use this as a launch monitor, practicing with it with the Taylormade golf ball. If people want, I can do this exact same test using the actual official Square golf ball. But yeah, I've got to say, very impressed. There were obviously some misreads, obviously some ones that didn't match up, but I mean, overall, pretty good for what you're paying. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, let me know. Any comments or questions, leave them down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.